Good morning. My name is John Godley from Harlow College. I'm just going to take you through a short presentation about questioning skills in the hope that it will get you thinking about how questioning is used in your class and with your students. I'm just going to share the screen. Okay. Okay, so this short presentation is going to cover practical aspects of using questioning in the classroom, and hopefully that will transfer to online questioning as well in some aspects. What I want you to do is listen to the presentation. It might be worth making any notes of anything that you think might be useful that you'd like to try in the classroom. We'd like to show these techniques in the classroom, or ideally try some of them out. And obviously reflect on that through your supported experiments. Okay, so why do teachers ask questions? Lots of reasons. We want to find out what students know already as a starting point. We want to engage them, maintain their interest in a topic. Questions can be a really good way of doing that. We want them to think critically about things rather than just accepting, a certain narrative or what they've been told. Want them to identify problems and find solutions, encourage students to ask questions for themselves, which can be quite a challenge in itself. We want them to challenge views, challenge norms, and we use questions to gauge their interest. Okay, so really important tool in the teacher's toolkit is questioning. Okay, the first thing I want to say is lots and lots of teachers habitually ask questions. They might not even want an answer, or they might not consider the ones that are being given. It's part of their teaching style. So I would suggest don't ask the question if you don't want their answer. Okay. If you habitually ask questions or you answer it yourself, it kind of undermines the questioning process really, and they won't listen to questions in the same way that you want them to. Okay. Don't dismiss students' answers. Okay. If it's not quite what you're looking for, if you dismiss it as wrong, or maybe just ignore it, they might not put themselves in that position again of being brave enough to ask questions. So appreciate their answers, even if it's not quite what you're looking for. Listen and be open. I guess this kind of follows on from the last point. You might not get the perfect answer. You might not get the answer that you're looking for, but try and understand where they're coming from. Okay, it's quite valuable learning to hear their responses and gauge their knowledge. And they might have a different take on something you haven't thought of before. So explore their answers with them. Okay, so this little section's about the silence. Okay, lots and lots of teachers don't like the silence after a question. Don't be afraid of the silence, I would say. After asking the question, give thinking time, build thinking time in there. Okay, your responses will be higher quality and there'll be more of them. Okay. The time after answering a question can be built in before the question. You can say, okay, I'm going to give you a minute, 30 seconds, whatever. After asking this question, I don't want anyone to answer it. I just want you to think about it. Okay, so that can take the pressure off people being expected to answer, and just give them time to think about what you're asking them. Okay, don't give in. Don't answer a question yourself. If the silence is carrying on, you're not getting the answers you want. Give it a bit more time. They might need more thinking time. If they're really struggling, you might want to give prompts, you might want to give reminders, okay, but try not to answer the question yourself. You might need to rephrase it, okay, but try and make the students work. And lots of the times the answer will be out there, it's just extracting that from them really. And they've got to be a bit brave to do that sometimes. If they really don't know, then don't ignore that, okay. You might need to go back over learning if it's been missed. Okay, it's important assessment of learning. If they don't know, then and you just carry on, then that's a chunk of knowledge that they're missing out on. So, you know, use questioning as a practical tool to inform your teaching. Couple of little strategies taken from Jeff Petty's Pose, Pause, Pounce. You know, pose the question, give them that thinking time. You can direct them to an individual, asking them for an answer. Obviously, we all know that uncertainty of whether you're going to be asked the question keeps everybody focused and kind of paying attention. You can do the same tactic, pose the question, give the thinking time, but then open that up to the wider class. Or you can use a combination of both, narrowing it down to individuals from the group. After answering, you possibly could let the learner select the next person to answer the question. Obviously, that depends on your group and the context, but it might be a way of adding a little bit more interest to the questioning. Okay, challenge questions are really, really good for challenging students. Using follow-up questions to clarify understanding, to extend thinking, really, really valuable. You can use the tactic of starting with simpler questions and then leading into more complex ones. Obviously, closed questioning into opening, etc. Don't need to limit yourself to just one follow-up question. Okay, it's not a tick box exercise. See where the answers lead and where you want them to lead, and it might open up different aspects of the subject that you hadn't considered. Make sure you involve the class. Don't go on long threads with one learner. The rest of the class will lose interest and not feel included in that. And think about the wording of your question. How and why questions will generate more complex thinking than just what and when simple recall questions. Okay, so try and challenge the students. A few other considerations. As with anything in teaching, know your group. Use questions to target, to support as needed, and you can be really nuanced with questioning, and it's a great way of kind of working with your group as you know them. Questions don't always need public or verbal answers. You can ask questions, students can take notes, they can just think about the answers, you know. It doesn't always need to be a tool for assessment or public confirmation of learning. Okay, use the questions to get them thinking. Controversial questions can be great at generating discussion and debate. Obviously, you need to control your class, and it needs to be, you know, it needs to be acceptable within what you're doing. But they can be great at generating engagement. Statements, case studies can be good ways to frame a series of questions if you want to look at specific situations, etc. And have an idea of where you want your questioning to lead, so it follows your plans. You know, it's got to fit in with your overall aims of your lessons, really. And that's it. Thank you. Hopefully, there's a few considerations that you might want to think about, that you might want to try in your lessons. Give it a go. Thank you.